జోకులన్నీ బిషప్ గారు వేసేసారు కాబట్టి I don't have to, no, actually, I'm incapable of talking, in such a nice and humorous way. Delighted to be here. Warm and respectful greetings to all of you in the precious name of Lord Jesus Christ. At the outset, I would like to thank John Uncle, John Anna అంటాను నేను, my neighbor in Noble Colony. By the way, Sushant, you told me 20, but in the program it is written 35, so I'll take the liberty to go a little over 20. That's your fault. But I won't, maybe 5 minutes here and there. When I was asked by Sushant and he told me that John Anna is, planning to host this, and I would like to be there and want you to speak. I immediately, somehow I felt the nature of this event. And also I happened to meet him in the church that he worships very recently. Like, I don't know, it's I wouldn't say coincidence, but I saw the kind of spiritual maturity he exuded, and I thought this must be a prompting by the Holy Spirit. Otherwise, the nature of this event is really different. This is not the regular traditional alumni meet. These alumni meets, they are for networking, they are for career development or motivational, and their focus is different. Reunion also, it doesn't really fit this gathering. The reason being, reunion is generally, it happens to a class, or a batch. For example, I'm from 76, 79 batch of, degree in Noble College. But reunion of, because some I know, known faces, very few classmates, but people that I know, but many I don't know. So this is not even a kind of reunion. I wouldn't call it that way. And I forgot to thank Sushant, John Uncle, John Gani. He has been in touch with me. And I have met him, and he has kindly hosted 2-3 get-togethers of Christian related events I attended in his house. His commitment to this event, if today this is happening, apart from John Gaaru, because I have, by nature of my service, I retired from, I know how difficult it is to organize events of this nature, the kind of coordination it requires, and he did a wonderful job, fabulous job. And I also sensed you are doing this for the glory of God. So compliments and sincere appreciation. Coming back, so this is not a traditional kind of alumni. Here we are seeing that age 50, 80 roughly, that 30 year. In other words, if somebody is 80, his son could be, daughter could be here. There are 2 generations sitting in this hall. 2 generations, let us say 100 people. Average age is, let's say, 50, 80, 65 or something, minus 20. 20 is your formative years. You are not an adult and you are not on your own. You have not still left the institution. So 40 years roughly, multiplied by 100. As I see this, 400 years of experience and wisdom is condensed into this hall. So And each one of you have seen the vicissitudes in life, challenges. I don't know how many bereavements you have seen, how many birthdays you have seen, how many reunions you have seen, how many wonderful things you have encountered, and challenges you encountered, and wonderful things you experienced. Your experience, each one gathered here today, can be an award-winning, literature award-winning novel. You are like walking novels. So to speak to a gathering like this was intimidating for me. So when I was asked to speak, that really, the reason I was very reluctant, I was hesitant. How can I speak to these people, who have so much experience? And after all that, you are standing tall, and you are standing with your heads held high, and in spite of so many ups and downs you have encountered in life. So I thought the best way to address a gathering of this nature is one, of course, the alma mater, Noble Institutions connection. I need to draw from my experience of my time in Noble High School, Noble College, couple of, for paucity of time, I will take couple of examples from my time in the Noble Institutions. Then couple of instances from my own life's experiences or career, so that we can see it in perspective, how the values inculcated into me by these wonderful institutions, how, noble values inculcated by noble institutions. So I apply it to my life. And then, because this is, as I said, the another, in fact, most important characteristic of this gathering is faith in Lord Jesus Christ. And I need to at least, mention 2, 3, maybe 4 spiritual truths that helped me as a person. So when I speak, it doesn't mean that I'm lecturing you or sermonizing you, but it is to share my own experiences, so that maybe there is some connection, some resonance in your own lives for sure. The examples may be different, but it is the same resonance. So that's how I intend to proceed. First incident from my call. In fact, it's wrong even to call it an incident or the reason is, incident is a particular happening in that particular context, in that particular moment. But episode is part of a narrative. So I would rather call them even episodes, though they are not part of a book or a chapter, or sorry, in a drama-like series, but it connects to life itself. 78, 79, subject to correction. I am not sure which year, but one of these definitely. Sorry to be starting the essence of my speech with this kind of a story. Sometimes into educational campuses, you have hooligans, straying onto the campuses. And whenever you have a rowdy, street rowdy, he always comes with a few minions, because this fellow never has the courage to stand up alone. So we had a guy like that. Obviously, I won't name. And I'm also, because I was not an eyewitness to the beginning of that story, but what I heard was, most probably, he or one of his friends was caught copying in an exam, and he abused the lecturer. He was thrown out, abused the lecturer, or even physically pushed him, that kind of thing. And later, from here, I was an eyewitness. మన నోబెల్ కాలేజీలో 2 పెద్ద చెట్టు ఉంటుంది. ఒకవైపు ఏమో ప్రిన్సిపల్ గారి స్టేర్ కేస్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ పైకి ఎక్కితే వుడెన్ స్టేర్ కేస్, ఇట్ టేక్స్ యూ టు ద ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ ఆఫీస్ అండ్ లెఫ్ట్ సైడ్ డిఫరెంట్. సో నేను అక్కడ ఆ చెట్టు దగ్గర నిలబడి ఉన్నాను. నాట్ I can't recall for what reason, or I was talking to with my friends or group of. This guy started rushing towards the chettu dati, started climbing up the stairs, racing up. So first, please remember, make a note. There was a lecturer. Despite this guy's notoriety, he was a rowdy sheeter. ఆయనకు తెలుసు he could be violent, he could be abusive. In spite of that, he stood up. And why did he stood up, and why did he stand up, and why did he throw him out? Not because he doesn't know that he can be a threat to him, for his safety, for a value. That was, he wanted to protect the sanctity of the exam system, which is a pillar of any credible, the credibility of an educational academic institution rests on your exam system. Of course, today it's a different story. Masterle copy ilandiche stage lo unnam manu, but that's a different thing. But he stood up, despite knowing that this guy could be, he could be violent. Then the second, our master peru, I'm not 100% sure. That's why I'm not really sharing. There's nothing wrong because it's a positive thing. Most probably Timothy Master, Lekkal Master, but I'm not sure. But this one I was sure because I witnessed this. This guy started racing up, and Vachaspati Sharma my physics master, you don't believe, he put his two hands on the two railings. Handsome man, not very tall, thin, and this guy was big, and he knows that he can't stop him, but still he stood there, put his hands like this over me. He was racing to principal's office. Why? Again, he was saying, I am ready to put my own dignity and personal safety on the line in order to protect the dignity of the high office of my principal, commitment to the institution. So these are the kind of people who taught us. The second example I would like to share, this year I am sure, 77, 78, we were in second year of degree, I'm sorry. We were prescribed a non-detailed text in the second year, The Great Soul, about Mahatma Gandhi. Almost all of us were so depressed. In fact, I remember one of my classmates, Ana ఏంటనా పుట్టిన దగ్గర నుంచి గాంధీ గారి గురించి చెప్తారు మనకి. సాల్ట్ సత్యాగ్రహం, సౌత్ ఆఫ్రికాలో ట్రైన్లోంచి పడేశారు, తర్వాత అహింస, అయ్యే కాస్త మంచి నావల్ పెట్టచ్చుగా, కానీ నాన్ డీటెయిల్డ్ అయినా ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్గా ఉండొచ్చు కదా. దట్ వాజ్ ది యాటిట్యూడ్ to that particular. But then walks in a young lecturer at the time, and with his inimitable style, fascinating style, his eloquence, his insights, a class that started with almost empty, except for a few, most of the students were not coming. First of all, non-detailed people don't take seriously. Second, this kind of a novel. Believe me, I understood Gandhi better, even Attenborough film kana, our novel, our sounds, the way it was taught to us. And the important thing to note is, even students who would not generally attend classes regularly, not only this class, even other classes, they started attending that. And by the time time proceeded, the people were coming to college just to attend this particular class, even if the class was full. What happened? It's not just a matter of the style, eloquence. Yes, of course, I'm not belittling that. But the point is, the empathy that lecturer used to show, class కి అటెండ్ అవని స్టూడెంట్స్తో మాట్లాడటం, by he would never insult a student in front of others. He would call them outside, talk to them personally one to one. You have a problem, why are you not attending? If you're really, don't you know, your parents have so many hopes in you, kind of thing. I asked actually one of my friend, అరే ఏంట్రా ఎప్పుడు రావు నువ్వు క్లాస్కి అసలు అంటే, now I, with your permission, Banerjee Master, the novel was taught to us by Mr. P.S. Banerjee. A real tribute to a teacher is to motivate and inspire even those students who are called so-called backbenchers. This is the Noble Institution for you, to bring out the best out of even 90% IIMs, IITs, whatever you call, the so-called top colleges, universities, 90% only తీసుకో జాయిన్ అయితే ఆడికి 95% నువ్వు చెప్పేదేంటి? He himself will come to 95%, by his own effort. Noble College, that most of the students, the Clark Hostel students, some of them, I'm sorry to say this, పాపం చెప్పులు కూడా లేనటువంటి స్థితిలో ఉన్న స్టూడెంట్స్ ఉన్నారు. They're all from humble beginnings. Parents are illiterate. అటువంటి వాళ్ళని to motivate and inspire to learn, to acquire knowledge. 50% వాడిని 60, అది గొప్ప. 60 వాడిని 70. Pursuit of excellence with a difference. So that I wanted to say, these are the two incidents. See, these are representative. I just picked up a couple of examples. It may talk about a few teachers here and there, but the whole ambience and the environment of the institutions was like that. The third thing I wanted to make now, how they impacted me as a person. Here, my intention is not to boast or show off. Not like that, not at all. It's not my intention. But unless I share these, you would not understand the context and how the values I learned from Noble College. I will talk about a broad summary of the kind of values that Noble Institutions gave to us, which no other institution could. First is, I would forgive me for not sharing all the details because diplomatic confidentiality, I can't tell you everything. I was posted as an ambassador to a particular country, and in the initial briefing, I just joined, and there are big issues, smaller issues, and issues that I was expected to resolve as ambassador, which I had to focus myself, leaving other things to officers, junior officers. But one particular issue pending for years, that drew my attention. And I called that officer separately after the meeting, and I asked him to give me a complete brief, and I asked him to give me the file. Years passed by, people are not, nobody paid attention to that particular thing simply because the issue was in the court in India, and the police were investigating, etc., etc. But nobody had the that what you call that connection with the people who are the victims there. It's an old couple. Their son, an engineer, he came to that country and he was killed in an accident, and the company paid him compensation and huge sum. Unfortunately, because of some technical administrative error, the compensation went to a wrong person, and that guy, in India, ఒకసారి చేతిలో డబ్బులు వచ్చిన తర్వాత. So eventually the actual couple who lost their only son, breadwinner, for years they didn't even have a proper livelihood. And I thought I should resolve this matter before I leave this country. And I started, in spite of my, and to cut the long story short, I breached protocol, which I'm not, I wrote to the foreign minister of India directly, which I'm not supposed to do. I had to go through the foreign secretary. And that time it was Madam Sushma Swaraj, and used all my drafting skills. And by the way, why I'm saying this is, I never got the kind of satisfaction with the 1.5 pages of a confidential communication that I sent directly to the foreign minister. And within 1 month, it got resolved. I didn't get this kind of satisfaction. When actually the approval came, and I was numb for almost the whole day, because I never saw the old couple's photographs or anything, but somehow, as if some photographs were at the back of my mind. I could see their faces. They are suffering. They need justice, but the system defied them. So where did I get this strength from? Why should I, go out of my, I could have simply, it is sub judice. Let it take years. By the time the couple would have died. That's number one. Number two, I was ambassador to a country in Africa. I was also in charge of 3 other countries because we didn't have embassies. And government of India gives huge amounts as grants or loans or something to these countries for infrastructure projects which have to meet the basic amenities and necessities of poor villages. In Africa, to see the poverty, you really have to, I had to travel around. It is pathetic. It's so heart-rending. And 2 Indian companies, the rules say that the projects will be executed by Indian companies. That is the condition. And 2 Indian companies, notoriously corrupt, manipulated and abused the system. And I don't want to get into details because I cannot. And the eventual beneficiaries, these hapless, these marginalized, poor people who don't have drinking water, who don't have electricity, this money is meant for that. And they are deprived. The projects are getting delayed or closed down in the midway simply because it is corrupt. This whole system is being corrupted. I fought for 3 years, my entire term there, to eventually, I'm happy to say that I got these 2 companies blacklisted. And believe me, it was not easy, at personal risk. But only thing that was on my mind was, I must do what is right. I must do justice. If I can't do this as ambassador or high commissioner, who else? Let me do it, do whatever I could, the best I could do to bring justice to these poor people, the victims of the system. So that happened. And that is another, I thought, the point is I'm trying to make, to stand up for the right cause. The examples I gave you for example, from the college times just before, these are the kind of values I of course, apart from my Christian upbringing, my faith in God, apart from that, the noble values that we got from the noble institutions, from lecturers and teachers who have put life into an otherwise inanimate institution called alma mater. Where is matter is mother. But where is the life if you don't have these people? And this strength came to me because of those values given to us. Quickly, the values that I have been talking about, values. Let me turn to a few. Um, of course, you can't be extensive. I pick up 2, 3 points I'll tell you. Self-respect, self-dignity, self-belief. Again, it's okay? I need to turn to a couple of examples again from this time from Noble High School. అందరికీ తెలుసు సంజీవరావు మాస్టర్ బిఎస్ సంజీవరావు గారు ఇంగ్లీష్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ చెప్పేవాడు. యు రిమెంబర్ హిమ్? I am yet to see a gentleman looking more elegant in a traditional outfit. Immaculately dressed in a traditional outfit, but with immense self-confidence. People may interpret in different ways, but I used to be surprised. What is this man? Look at the strength of, he defied the trend. Trend enti appudu pantlu, chokkalu, whatever. Market lo chese adi. But he would never bother about it. What is it? Self-belief. He doesn't care who thinks what about him. He's confident of himself. That is the same kind of self-belief he inculcated into us. Kakarla Jeeva Sagar Gaaru, English master, English teacher, sir. I owe my English lo chaala manchi markulu vachinayi naku 10th lo. I owe it to him. Just the kind of grammar he taught us, that's a different story. Kakarla Jeeva Sagar Gaaru, despite his severe physical challenge, do you know, have you seen him play volleyball? Lion on the field of volleyball. Yanta baga adevallu. Again, defying the odds, standing up firm, believing in himself, and passing it on to his students who watch. Are ఏంటి ఆయనతో ఆడటానికి కుర్రోళ్ళు భయపడేవాళ్ళు అదర్ సైడ్, అంత బాగా ఆడేవాడు ఆయన. The second point I wanted to make, pursuit of excellence redefined. Noble institutions, pursuit of excellence, you want to, do your best, you want to motivate. But the definition that Noble Institutions gave us, it's always pursuit of excellence means, ఆడికన్నా నువ్వెంత బాగా చేసావు, how better you are. But the definition Noble Institutions gave us, rise to your full potential. Do your best. Don't look at somebody else. That's what I was trying to tell you. For example, what Banerjee Master did, this is bringing out the best from the students, irrespective of how others are doing. If you are a 90%, if you have the capacity for 90%, you should be able to get 90. But if you are 70, God's creation, we need to understand this. It's not discriminatory. ఒకడికి ఎక్కువ ఒకడి, correct. Diversity is part of God's creation. He must be having a reason. I can go on, talk about that, but yes. So this is the kind of pursuit of excellence that we got from Noble Institutions. Bring out the best in a person and take an average person and bring the best out of him. That is called, I say, pursuit of excellence with a difference. The third thing I wanted to talk, I call it beyond ambition towards life's purpose. Ambition is selfish. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, it is about you. You want to do something. You want to achieve something. Ambition is achieved. Ambition is accomplished. But purpose of life is lived. You live the purpose of life. Purpose of life, nobody teaches. You have to discover that. You have to find. So most institutions, educational institutions, They help students to achieve their ambitions, but Noble Institutions went or go beyond that. I give quickly, but biblically speaking, Abraham, important thing the Noble Institution did was they pushed the students to get out of their comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. They motivated us to do that. Abraham, he left his home to become the father of a nation. Moses, he left the security and comfort and luxury of Pharaoh's palace and led the whole Israelite nation out of captivity. Robert, our own founder, Turlington Noble. But for him, without him, I don't know about you, I wouldn't be here. My dad would not have been there in Noble High School. He changed the shape and the landscape of the villages in Andhra and Telangana. How did he do that? Of course, apart from his faith in Christ, in God, but to get out of his comfort zone and do good for the larger society. I'm coming to purpose. That's what they did. This is the kind of value Noble Institutions inculcates into everybody. That it's not about you. Don't confine yourself to your own ambition. Ambition and purpose are two different things. And I have been talking about values. Let me quickly list out those values. Humility, humble beginnings, and you want to rise. And Noble Institutions tell you, Mana Bishop Garu mentioned chesaru, we are all God's creation, we are equal. God did not discriminate. He created diversity, but He is in us, and we are made in His image. That dignity has to bring in that humility automatically. Empathy, I was talking about, Banerjee Master, not only the pursuit of excellence, it's pursuit of excellence with empathy. And without empathy, self-belief I talked about, respect for everyone, because you see that every man, every woman is entitled to his or her own dignity because of we are made in God's image. Now, Noble Institutions have done their part. Now, it is for the students that come out of it to build up the requisite character. They laid the bricks, but bricks have to be made into a building that is your character in order to realize your purpose in life. And I can turn, as far as I am concerned, and as far as the Bible says, you need wisdom for that. And the purpose of life, you have to ask God, Lord, what is the purpose of my life? Why have you created me? What is your will for me? So these values are bricks, and Noble Institutions have done their part, but it is for each one of us to find out what that purpose is. I am concluding, Sushant. Forgive me. Just a few spiritual truths I mentioned about. Quickly, I want to mention without elaboration what really helped me and gave me spiritual strength, and I believe I am growing, maturing. Not there yet, but Bishop Garu mentioned chesaru. God is our Father, and He will never forsake you. Now, easy to say, everybody knows this, but let me tell you, when it comes to actually believing it and trusting God in trials and tribulations and difficult situations, we fall apart. We just break down. It's not. I want to refer you to, you remember 7 words on the cross, Jesus Christ. Out of those 7, 3, Jesus addresses God, right? One, he says, forgive them. And he calls, Father, forgive them. Then he says, I commit my spirit into your hands. He again says, Father. He doesn't. But when it comes to the third one, he says, Eloi, Eloi, in Aramaic law. Ante, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why didn't he use the word God and God? Why didn't he address God earlier as, why did he address him as Father? And here, why he turned to God? It's easy to think that it's a coincidence, but I don't think so. It's deliberate because Jesus knows that God can forsake him, but not the Father. Father will never forsake you. If you believe in him, he holds your hand in any situation. I am with you. Father will never forsake you. That's why he said, my God, my God. Righteousness and justice, another thing that helped me. Righteousness and justice are foundations of God's throne. This is from Psalm 89. I won't talk about righteousness, but justice. Justice for whom? Justice for the poor, the weak, the needy, the voiceless, the marginalized. If you don't take care of them, in Amos, the prophet says, God says, if you don't have justice and if you don't take care of these people on the fringes of the society, your music, you think it is music, for me it is noise. The moment you start singing, I walk out. I don't even listen to you if you don't have justice. And noble institutions have motivated and inspired us towards that justice. Prayer is the foundational thing. Without prayer, you can't have a relationship with God. You can't connect with God. You cannot know He is a Father. But unfortunately, I'm sorry to, at least prayer, unless it includes your worship and your praise, and ask God to know His will for you, not simply providing, a list of supplications. This helped me a lot when I understood this. So my prayer, the complexion of my prayer, and finally, we are stewards, we are custodians of blessings of God. Each one of us, if you have done well in our lives, like John Gaaru, for example, the God's blessings, they are, we don't own them. He wants us to be a blessing for many. That's the reason He has blessed you. We are just, every gift is from above, and you are just a steward of that. Leave you with this thought. The alumni gathering here today, I don't know, Noble College principal garu gaani ikkada unnara teledu. I don't know the state of Noble College today or Noble High School. I know it's closed, but if there is anything that this group of people can do, please take the initiative, and whatever we can do as part of our responsibility, as part of our moral debt to the alma mater, which has, after coming out of mother's womb, as a fully formed baby, but without any growth or anything, the institutions which help us to grow and become strong today and standing with dignity and pride, if we should be able to help and do, we will play. At least I would like to play my part. If any initiative is coming from the college. And the last thing, we are this group of people, particularly because of our age, we are the last, I would call, sentinels, the watch guards, like we are the last ones. After us, our children would not know where we come from. That connection between the generations, the values that it is like handing over of the baton and the torch by Moses to Joshua. If we don't do that, if we fail in that respect, if we don't pass on these values to our children, believe me, we are going to have the church, Christian home are already invaded by Antichrist, and it will be a disaster. And I believe we are the last person standing, and we should do, in handing over that torch to our children. Thank you so much for once again, grateful thanks. Appreciate your patience.
Message to all of us. It really inspired all of us to stand by the values that our forefathers of Noble College that they have advised us to follow. And those values that we have learned from our former patriots of Noble College and Noble Institutions. Now I have one small announcement. I think all of you must be having these badges available with you. If anybody is not having this Noble Institutions badge, you can have it. They are available with our ushers that are here. Kindly collect it from if anybody is not having it. And also we have a very important event to be organized here, that the Clark Hostel students, former students of Clark Hostel, they have brought here some very beautiful gifts that they are going to get it distributed amongst us. As we continue with this session, each one of you is getting a business bag, executive bag, that they are going to present it to you. At this time, I take the opportunity to thank Mr. Vedanayakam, who all the way came from Kurnool. Mr. Vedanayakam, would you please stand up? Yeah, please come forward. He will greet the audience here just for a moment. He will tell about how they are inspired to get this one distributed for all of us. Yes.